Good. I will ask everyone to introduce themselves, put the camera on and say who they are and from which organization and which country. I will nominate people as I see them on my screen. Let's start with Ramesh.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. And good afternoon also. My name is Ramesh Bohra. I'm regional advisor for Asia region, Swiss Water and Sanitation. I'm based in Nepal, Kathmandu, and I have a role to support South and Southeast Asian countries. Thank you.
So I see myself on the second place in the screen. So let me introduce myself for those that don't know me yet. So my name is Lucie Leclerc. I'm the regional advisor for East Africa region. And I'm also co-leading all those meetings around Blue Schools. Next one on my screen in Satyanarayana Ghosh. Sorry for the name.
Yes, that's fine. Hi, good morning. This is Satyanarayan Bose. I work for TDA's India Delegation Office. I'm working as National Coordinator. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Then the next one is Abatne.
Morning, everyone. I'm Abatne, working for Caritas Switzerland as WASH program advisor based in Addis Ababa.
Welcome, Abatne. Okay, next one is Deborah.
Hello, my name is Nabukera Deborah. I work for Podiumbe. I'm the school worship officer.
Welcome, Deborah. Then we have Girum Girma.
Good morning, everyone. I am Grum Girma, working for Caritas Switzerland, Ethiopia. I am a project coordinator for Blue School project. Thank you.
Welcome, And then we have Singha. Wow, today it's really Caritas. Caritas is well represented. Yesterday we had all teams from Swiss Red Cross. Today is really Caritas. Singha, you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Singha Khin. I'm working for Caritas Switzerland in Cambodia. I'm responsible for Blue School and water integrity projects. Thank you.
Welcome, Singha. And then we have Alexa.
Yes, welcome. This is Laxman from TDS Asia. Thank you.
Welcome. And Mutsiwa Rogers.
Hi everyone, I'm Mutsiwa Rogers. I work for Kampala, Uganda, project assistant first.
Sorry, you're working for whom? I didn't hear that.
Accord, Uganda.
Accord, partner of HEX in Uganda. Okay. Are you together in the team with Deborah?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so when you talk, you have to make sure you have your microphone muted, otherwise there is a big echo. Or you sit, yeah, it's good to sit separate for COVID, but be careful when you talk with the echo, okay? Right, okay. Welcome. Okay, then we have Sabia Sashi Mitra.
Hello everyone, myself Sabyasachi Mitra from TDH Foundation, Kolkata.
Welcome. Then we have Sabine.
Yes, good morning. I'm Sabine Schild. I'm the head of program of Caritas Switzerland in Ethiopia. Thank you.
Welcome, Sabine. And Eyasu. Yasu, I'm very sorry. My internet dropped, so you have to introduce yourself again. Sorry for that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, my name is Yasu. I am working at Caritas Switzerland, Ethiopia, as monitoring and evaluation.
Great. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see that we are a good size, a good group now. We will be able to have discussions not as Infosession 1, where it was mainly, we had 35 participants, so we could not really have participative sessions. So before we start on the content for today, I would like to ask you to write in the chat box, what was your main learning of session 1? So some of you were new to Blue Schools, others already knew Blue Schools, but we would like you to share your main learning, what struck you, what really caught your attention. Please write it on the chat box, and then from there we can summarize. Okay, I don't see any message on the chat box. Did you understand what, if you prefer to talk and just share your main learning of this Infosession 1, please just unmute yourself and share with us. Otherwise, please write down your main learning on the chat box. Ramesh will read them. Hello, everyone. Is it a problem with my connection or a problem with the instructions?
Yes.
Yes, I mean the lesson from the session 1 Blue School. This is info session number 2, and we had an info session number 1 10 days ago. If you missed it, then it's fine, but it's actually coming from Gerum, who knows Blue School very well. So for you, you can also share what is the main principle of Blue School for those that have not attended info session 1 but want to share something about Blue School. Your main lessons from the info session of the 21 of October.
Okay, maybe let me add something. This is from Nepal. In Blue Schools, I think we add those new elements of that is come in the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, particularly related to environment and ecosystem that have implication on water quality. So what we are doing in Nepal is we are adding, so gardening is one of the component. So there's a approach called keyhole garden that we piloted during our first and second consortium projects in Bangladesh, and that we have brought into Nepal, and we have introduced that in in Bardia district, where we're implementing TDS Blue Schools project. So, so we have to follow this. We did before just COVID, but after that we have to follow this. So I think all people, some may be aware of this, but those who are not aware, this is just a raised bed. It's a circular raised bed about 9 feet wide. If it is raised, then it is flood resistant to some extent, up to the extent we raise the height. And in the middle, there is about a few feet wide circular, it's a whole bed is circular, and in the center also it is few feet wide basket where organic waste is put in there. So what happens is that as you put the organic waste, the water of the organic waste also, the leachate also goes into the soil inside. So somehow this is considered to take less water. It is using the water of the organic waste also. That's why it is resistant in drought also. And then so when we can add water from inside also in the root area, so that may take less water, and it is flood resistant also. I think this is what we have introduced, and we'll follow this. Yeah,
thank you, Laksam. Here basically what I would like to capture is just basically make a summary of Infosession 1. What you shared with us is clearly one of the good practices from Terre des Hommes, which is great. But for the others, please, if you could just share your main learning of Infosession 1. If you were not able to attend Infosession 1, I will make a small summary then. Because it's important for Infosession 2 that we have followed Infosession 1, because it's the build-up of what we have said before.
Yes, I mean, Ramesh, are you coming in?
Yes, I am here.
Sorry, Laxman, are you coming in?
No, anything?
Okay. So for me, because I did not have the project and my involvement in Blue School project in previous phase, but in the first session, we had a very good discussion, and I have learned. Then after our meeting, we had a bilateral talk, right? Let's see. So, and then we discussed about some other issues. So therefore, one of the inspiring thing for me is that inspiring the school authority is one of the basic things in the Blue School approach of Blue School project. So this is about inspiring the authority, inspiring the school management, children to do something and demonstrate at the school level. And then the second thing I have learned is a process of cultivating good practices at institutions and then facilitate for a transformations of the good practices from institution to community. So that's another very good approach of multiplying the impact that is being demonstrated and created at the institutional level. I'm also quite inspired by the list of topics that Lucy, you and Ramesh both put together. So which comes under environment, water, sanitation, hygiene, then the vegetable gardening, waste management, so all those. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Exactly. So I think you have mentioned some important points. So Blue School is all about inspiring. We are not here to impose, but we are here to give ideas. And then you moved after about the ownership of the stakeholders. This is also one comment that we have from Musidwa in the chat box. So the importance of the ownership of the stakeholders. And the fact that we strongly recommend basically putting teachers at the center, training teachers so they replicate to students, as opposed to what we have seen in other projects in phase 2, where we just look at clubs and then we just train school health club or school agricultural clubs and then we expect them to replicate everything. No, the teachers have an important role to play here. You also mentioned another good point about cultivating good practices. Indeed, Blue School is not about awareness raising, it's about good practices. So let's stop telling students what they should do Rather, let's practice it. Let's do it. This is how you can make the move from awareness raising to behavior change. There was also one learning from Singha about the vegetable garden. That basically, it's the purpose of it is to learn and practice. And then if you have issues with access to water, then you don't need to make it 3 cropping season in 1 year. You can just do it in rainy season if your context allow, basically. So those are a few learnings. Anyone else who wants to share a learning from session 1 before I make a small summary? Because I think most of the people here didn't attend session 1, so I'll just take you through a summary of session 1. Okay, then let me take you through the summary of session 1 then. Basically, what we said in session 1 is we have tried to help you define what a blue school is, because we had so many discussions with different teams. It's not always easy to explain what a blue school is. But in short, a blue school is a healthy and an environmentally friendly school. And there are different components. You see water, you see sanitation, you see hygiene, you see menstrual hygiene management, school garden, waste management, and the end goal, the end direction is basically environment. The students are at the center of the blue school approach. So it's not the construction. Of course, you need the construction, but the children learning and practice is at the center. So of course, you need drinking water facilities and well-maintained latrines for the student to be able to use it. The hygiene practices, including menstrual hygiene management, school gardening activities, solid waste management, environmentally friendly activities. Another important actor in the Blue Schools approach is the teachers. So the whole idea of the Blue School is that we don't want to impose, again, new activities, though in some topics and in some contexts, we might actually decide to do that. This is, for example, in Ethiopia, that we decide to introduce the CHAST approach to really give in a structured way hygiene and sanitation practices teachings. But otherwise, the idea of Blue School is not to impose, inspire the teachers, and ideally motivate them to complement the theoretical classes with practical exercise. So it's really the focus on practical learning. Most likely in the curriculum, there are, for example, lessons on maybe good nutrition or good hygiene. And let's just go outside and let's practice it. So it's really motivating, inspiring teachers to teach in a different way. And another key stakeholders in Blue School are the parents, basically, because parents, at the end, what we want is that the Blue School is a place to, as you say, cultivate good practices, so that those practices can then be replicated at home. We also shortly mentioned that this is the only way we can claim an impact on nutrition on our projects. I've been reviewing a number of log frames and project proposals between phase 2 and phase 3 of the consortium, where some teams would claim an impact on nutrition just with the school garden. But we have to be realistic. It's not with the 2 kilos of tomatoes that they might grow, even if it's 5 kilos, that you will have an impact on nutrition. Complementing the school kitchen, even this, it's a bit of a big word. You can only have an impact on nutrition if, by showing good practice around the school garden, and it doesn't need to be big, it can be like a keyhole garden, so very small scale. You introduce new nutritive crops, more efficient water efficient practices, and then from there, children replicate it at home, or parents come at school, learn how it works, and replicate it at home. And then once it's replicated at home, this is where we can maybe look at an impact on nutrition. But this again needs to be measured. So we also summarized last time the main principle of Blue School. So the first principle is it's a pathway. It takes time. We will not become the school will not become a Blue School overnight. It will not become a healthy and environmentally friendly just like this in a 1-year project. It takes time. And especially now with this COVID-19 situation, the WASH requirements need to be addressed first. So we can think about school garden, waste management, planting trees, but let's focus on what's really needed right now. They need water, they need to wash their hands, hygiene practices, COVID preparedness, So this is really what's more important. So in the coming 6 months, maybe let's focus on this. If in your project you are working with schools that already have this access to basic WASH infrastructure, then focus on the practice, and then you can move already to school garden and other practices. This is the case for Caritas Ethiopia, who are working in 10 schools, and 5 of them are a follow-up of previous projects where they already put in place the basic WASH infrastructure. But otherwise, let's take time to do the WASH well. How can we motivate a head teacher at this moment about planting trees in this COVID situation? Let's be realistic. Blue School, it's also about acknowledging that each school and each context is different. So the pathway they will follow is different. In Asia, most likely the component on waste management might be more important and it might be a more serious problem than in Africa. In Africa, food security might be more of an issue, so the incentive to really try the school garden might be stronger. But again, it's not to us to impose what they should start with, except for the WASH, but what comes after, it's to the school stakeholders to decide. We are here to facilitate a discussion with the school stakeholders, let them sit on the driving seat, let them decide how their pathway should look like. We are also not here to impose how the school garden should look like, or the size of the school garden, and how to organize yourself. So if I would go in a monitoring visit and if I see that in the 10 school, the school garden looks exactly the same size, and in all of them they have an agricultural club and it's organized in the same way, I will think, okay, was that the idea of the school stakeholders to organize it that way, or was that our idea? So of course we can recommend, but let's give them the feeling they're in charge, and this is really key for sustainability. So basically, Blue School, it's about inspiring. It's about it's a mindset. It's about changing the way we work with those school stakeholders, not imposing, asking the right question, and being advisors. No pause. Sorry. Okay. So this was a summary. Does this clarify? Does this clarify the principle? This is basically what we discussed in the first info session. And if that classified, and if that's summarized, then we can move to the next session. But we can take a few questions.
Let's see.
Yeah, Ramesh?
Just to add to that, we also quickly discussed and presented these are catalog for technologies, where different technologies are listed in the catalog. So that is also to support the schools to select the appropriate one, whatever technology is appropriate for them. Like Lakshmanji said, I mean, this keyhole garden might be most appropriate for this sort of context. Maybe in another context, they may choose some other, So there is a list of range of technologies included in the catalog for all the components, for WAS, for gardening, for environment, for waste management, all these components. There are range of technologies. One can choose easily, I mean, whichever is the most appropriate and suitable for their own country. That is one part. And next was also catalog of practice. So that also we presented. And catalog of practice will be something like how to practice these selected technologies in a particular school. So that just I wanted to add to that.
Thank you, Ramesh. Yeah. Indeed, last time we also clarified the differences between the Blue School kit and the Blue Schools approach. So the Blue Schools kit, we presented the materials as what Ramesh explained. And the Blue School approach, basically, it's the general idea of it. Most of Swiss Water Sanitation Consortium organizations have experience with the Blue School approach, but not necessarily with the use of the kit. Actually, the use of the kit, how do you say? It's basically Caritas Cambodia, who has built quite some experience in the last year on the use of the Blue Schools kit, and also Caritas in Ethiopia, who have been starting to use the Blue Schools kit, as we had training on the roadmap in December. Okay, let me move now on what we aim to do in this info session today. So basically, the objective of the session of today is to have a discussion on how best to engage the government and school stakeholders. So in session 1, we ended by discussing the Blue Schools roadmap and by agreeing that the first steps in the implementation of Blue School is to ensure that we have the government stakeholders on board and that we mobilize our schools well. So then this is why in my email, I ask you to prepare for the teams that have already started implementing Blue School, a small summary of what you've done so far. So we will first start with a small exercise and a discussion on this. Then afterwards, the teams will present the next activities for their Blue School roadmap. Then afterwards, we will have a discussion on how best to train the school stakeholders on this Blue School kit and how to use and adapt the Blue School kit to specific context. So let me directly move to the first activity for today. Okay, so we are going to have a role play. In this role play, there will be 4 different teams, and each team will basically play one of those stakeholders. So I will break the group into breakout rooms, and you will need to prepare the arguments for your team. So let me read. Yes?
There's breakers in your voice, so I think your net is not that smooth. Will you quickly look?
Oh.
Okay, let me start.
Continue, but
let me try again, Ramesh. I have changed connection. Let me try and tell me if it works better. So basically, we will play 2 different role plays. The first one, it's a role play where the project team, so that will be group 1, will go and visit the local authorities for education. So this can be the Woreda office for education or the district office for education. This will be our first visit to those local authorities, and we will have to introduce the Blue School approach for the first time. The problem is this local government person will be very reluctant. He will be fed up with all those NGOs coming with their own approach, and we will have to come with very good argument to convince them to pilot with us the Blue School kit, the Blue School approach, and we need to make sure we clarify what we expect from them. So this will be one role play. One team will prepare the argument for the project team, and the second team will prepare the argument for the government. And then we'll come together in plenary and we will play it. So just imagine how it can be in practice. And this is also a good way for us to train our pitch, because we have to be able to explain very clearly, very synthetic, what the Blue School approach and the Blue School kit is and what we aim to do. That will be one story. The next story will be same, one project team, but this time the project team will go and visit a head teacher. It's a school that has been selected by the government. So the project team will also have to pitch the Blue School approach and try to motivate the head teacher to engage in this Blue School and in the Blue School's activities. But it's the same. The head teacher will be very reluctant. The only thing he's interested in, of course, is construction activities. He wants to see water. He wants to see latrine. And for the rest, he is not really interested, especially now with this COVID, he has other priorities. So how do we have a conversation with a school head teacher in those kind of situations? So this is what we are going to try to test. So basically, what's going to happen right now is I will split you into 4 groups, and each group will prepare the arguments. And one will come back in plenary. This is when we play the role play. So group 1, so that will be project team that have to prepare the argument for going to visit local authorities. This will be a team headed. I have defined some leads for each team. So the first team will be headed by Gerum. So everyone who is in the group with Gerum will prepare the argument for project team for the story 1. The second team, so will play the role of the government authorities. This will be headed by Ramesh. the third team, so the project team that will visit the head teacher, and this I have to cross-check because people keep on dropping. Okay, the third team will be headed by Abatne. So everyone who will be with Abatne in the group have to prepare the arguments that they will have to put forward to a head teacher. And the fourth team that will be basically playing the role of the skeptical head teacher, this will be the team headed by Sabine. So my apologies for Caritas Switzerland team, which I am using here to lead the discussion. It doesn't mean that you will have to play the role, but just that people know in which group they are. So I will now activate the breakout room. So if you see a message to go in a breakout room, just accept and you will be in a smaller group to discuss your arguments. And we'll take 5 to 8 minutes for this discussion. So here we are, 3, 2, 1, you're now in breakout room.
Satanayaran, will you play the tough head teacher?
That's fine, yes, I will do.
Okay, everyone.
I can back up.
So we were lucky because people from group 2, they have all failed to go in their breakout rooms. So that was very handy because they could all remain talking in the main session. Perfect.
Yes. Somehow we managed.
Okay, so now
we didn't go into
with the first role play. The first role play will be team 1 playing a project team, and team 2 that will be playing a very skeptical and very reluctant local government. So you'll have between 5 and 8 minutes. We'll see how it goes. I'll stop at a convenient moment. I would like to ask only the representative of team 1 and the representative of team 2 to put their video on so that we can enjoy the film, all of us, and just look at the two of them. So who is playing from team 1? Girma, I'm talking about your team. Who is playing from your team?
Lucy, I think we are a kind of lost in the instructions.
Okay, then we start with team 2. We start with the story 2. Then you'll see how it goes. The story 2 is a project team that visits a school. So from team 3, Abatne, who is ready to prepare this? Abatne, it was Abatne or Singha, who is going to play the project team?
Yeah, I better for staff director, hair teacher.
So who, Abatne or Singha, who is presenting the project team?
Okay. The project. Yeah, I'll be just the head teacher, and my colleague will be the.
I told you it's you are preparing for you are preparing just for the project team.
Okay, I'll be the project team to go.
Yeah. Who will be the project team?
I'll be the project team.
Okay, and then from group 4, so that's the group of then Sabi, who is playing then the very reluctant head teacher.
I'm playing that, yes.
Okay, so Abatne, you put your camera on, and we have Satyanaran, who will leave his camera on. Abatne, you can put your camera on. And all the others, we put the camera off. So Abatne, now that's it. You can start the meeting together with a very skeptical head teacher. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
Okay. I just plan to go one school in Nagale, and I just introduce my name. Okay, Mr. Ahmad, my name is Abbatna. I came from Caritas Switzerland in Nagale office, and we have a project which will be implemented in in your school? And are you voluntary if you are just talking or discuss with me? And he's happy to discuss with me.
Abatne, the head teacher is your colleague, so let him respond.
Exactly.
Yes, Abatne, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah.
Just let me know when you can't hear me, right?
Okay.
So welcome, Abatne, and yes, tell me about your concept. I don't know about the blue school that you are talking about.
Yeah, I think the blue school is official in this flip chart because I come with a picture and with the component of the with the catalog, and these are just the activity. The activity is just water supply, sanitation, and hygiene, and these are the most activity. I think I'll not burden with all this activity. We'll discuss step by step, and I am just requesting these are the activities, and gardening is one activity, and from which this activity I think which your school are very interesting to implement this activity.
Very good. So, I mean, your concept, I think, I have some apprehensions about this blue school concept when you propose to a school. Is that you know the purpose of having a school, right? And purpose of having a school in the world is to foster educations and facilitate children to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why we have the course curriculum and we have all academic education's activity.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that how your blue school propose educations and knowledge. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I think it is almost it's aligned with the curriculum, because in your curriculum there is what the agricultural section and other, even the biological you learn somewhat, but this is just it is a short and just to strengthen you and we just work together because you have the experience. I think your experience is very good. So we are just complement your experience or which are included in the curriculum.
Very good.
By this, we just implement this school gardening, the waste disposal, and like that.
Thank you. So, Abatne, yes, I mean, if I can tell you the concept of having a school, because all the activity like sanitation, agriculture that we're talking about, my children are anyway doing back in their home. So when they go back to their home from the school, this is the time they have to spend with their parents in their agriculture field to do all the crop raising activity and also cleaning activity, helping their parents, mothers. They learn that cleaning activities and other things at home. So this is a kind of learning opportunities are actually kept aside to be learned at the community level, not at the school level. So the learning part which has been kept aside to be learned is actually in school, which is more understanding the theory of many things like science, geography, history, mathematics, and all those, which they might not be able to do that in the community. But this is why they keep 2-3 hours time a day and dedicate for understanding those things in the school. So now, if I adopt all these activity, number one, it would be a repetitions of the same activity what they're doing in the community and back in the school again. And if I have to adopt this activity in a school, I'll have to cut the time of children for studying these theories or books and all those things. So now, number one. Number two is, you know that I, being a head teacher, I am allowed to do only what is written in the course curriculum or policy, education policy. So at the moment, my education policy doesn't allow me to cultivate or practice all those sanitations, agriculture, waste management in my school. So how can I do? If I do that, I would go to jail. What do you want me to do?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very good question. I think we will go step by step, and this is just learning by doing, because students are practicing this activity in a school. From that, they just adopt this learning, and they'll take to their parents, so as they have to scale the learning. And just it is just a laboratory, because you are doing some of the activity in a fragmented way. So this is just to compile and to do the learning, because you don't know, these the students are they'll be the future generation, like policymakers, so that in the meantime they have to just include this lesson in the policy document. This is one factor. And for you as a head teacher, I know your challenge, it is you are very busy. So I think you select some teacher from the department. So you are involving at least in the first planning session. And you just give this assignment for the other club teacher or something like that. You are not totally involving in so that. By that, you just reduce the time load for you. Is that okay?
Thank you. So, what I wanted to say is that I welcome your idea. So I personally think that Blue School is a very good concept, and would be great if we can actually practice that at the institutional level. But in order to adopt this Blue School concept at the school level, there are many other things has to be put in place. Like, first, it has to be included in education policy, which is not at the moment in education policy. So I cannot do anything which doesn't permit in the education policy. So therefore, I would rather advise you to go to education department than coming to me, so that 1 second.
Sorry. One question. I think I have, because I just discussed. I started from the ministry and I just assessed the policy document, and I think there are. Last time we have just an advocacy workshop with national and regional. So I think the regional and the national one they are very interesting for this. So that I just they are agreed. I'm not just coming only for you, because I start from the app. So I think in one time we do have a get together or an advocacy workshop together with you, so that I think it is on the way to include it in the curriculum, the Blue School concept. So I'm not coming from the scratch.
Yes. Okay. So if you,
Concluding remark.
Hello. Say that again.
Concluding remark.
Whether you confused or okay.
Okay. So now, second point is, if you look at our
concluding
law,
remark, concluding remark.
Yes. So concluding remark is yes. Your concept is very good, but as I said that, so I cannot adopt your concept because apart from this policy, there are some other points as well as, like in Blue School activity, I have to engage my children, right? So the law of the land doesn't permit to engage or involve children in school for any kind of cleaning activity, any kind of activity that has to deal with the pesticides, manure, waste, or cleaning related activity. So now, if I have to adopt this, then all the activity I myself physically have to do, and children will be observer, because my law of the land doesn't permit to involve the children in those activities. So therefore, I would advise you. I would advise you to please visit the government and discuss this better, so that we would be allowed to do all those things. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think since it is some of the activity are included in the curriculum, I think we will discuss in the next meeting because there are some activity started in your school. So I think we will come for the next meeting. We will arrange and we will discuss in detail with your district education office expert or some. This is. So thank you very much for the fruitful discussion we have.
There is also
we are stopping here. Sorry, we are stopping here. We are stopping here for a question of time. My apologies. Well done. Wow, this was very realistic. We have quite a high-level head teacher who is worried about the use of pesticides and very well informed already. It's very, very interesting. Before I ask some feedback from everyone, Abatne, how did it go? Was it realistic? Do you see this kind? How did you feel it went?
Yeah, I think it is very realistic, and the teacher is very challenging because he knows a lot of information. And yeah, one of the best important is, at least without assessing the curriculum and without discussing with the national and the regional, if you go to the school, I think it is a bit challenging, and their teacher will not allow to implement or voluntary to implement this activity.
Very good conclusion.
So we have to know this the curriculum and what is the start in the school, and yeah, this is just
very good, very good. And Satya, sorry for your name. Can you pronounce it one time?
Satya, call me Satya. That's fine.
Satya, how did it go for you? Was it realistic? What lesson? What did you learn from it?
See, in a breakout room, we discussed many other points which I could not discuss with Abatne. But now I think I can just throw those points as well for everyone to understand. So there are also other points that I wanted to share with you, Abatne, is now, even if I allow you to implement that project in my school, so I think your expectations would be also that I would continue this project after you phase out, right? So now, in order to continue this project in my school without you in long run, I need money to be money on a regular basis so that I can sustain the concept. And also I need intermittently technical advisor, technical supports. So who would provide these two supports and services to sustain this initiative? Because until unless it is there in the policy, government will not put money. Neither I can mobilize money from my children, poor children, nor I can put money from my pocket out of the salary. So therefore, if the moment you end your project in my school, the entire initiative will be stopped, which I do not want to do. Because if I want to do something, if I put my labor into something, I need to continue it for a long time.
That's good. Okay. Other
maybe
people,
can I add one point? Sorry, Lucy.
Yes, 1 point. You keep it short.
Because I'll keep it short because we are not just giving a lot of information and confuse the head teacher at the first meeting. Okay, so for the first meeting we introduce and we just tell the purpose of our coming and even the experience we'll have. In addition to that, I think the head teacher are most of the time they are very busy with other activity. So we are not just totally involved. The head teacher, rather, at least we have to give some information, and from our practical, I think we have to involve in at least in the planning session and something like that, because we have to select other teacher from the school who will implement this the Blue School activity.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else wants to comment on how it went before I give a short summary of what happened? Okay, Then if no one wants to intervene, let me try to summarize what just happened. I think it was indeed quite realistic, but actually I think in reality, the head teacher would be much more of, yeah, but we need that, we need this, we need this. And this is what you just mentioned in your last point now, Satya, basically, that, but you would need this. But I think in reality, this will come first. So it was quite realistic, but maybe for African context, a bit less, because in African context, there is so much need for basic things that when you come with a concept, or the first thing the teachers will tell you is their problems and what they need. But what I really appreciated from what Abatne did is he actually used the material. So coming with visuals as a way to show what's a blue school and the different components. I also appreciated that Abatne highlighted it's step by step, no, don't worry, because your head teacher had a lot of specific worries, but Abatne highlighted it's step by step. For now, I just want to present to you the basic concept. Then afterwards, we had the worries from the head teacher. Yeah, but alignment from curriculum. Yeah, but my job is to teach students, and then the alignment with the policies. This is a very important point. And as Abatne said, this should have maybe come at the start. So if Abatne would have come and said, okay, I'm just out of your meeting with the education department, or even coming together with the education department at this meeting would help. So from the start, showing that there is buy-in from government. And this is why normally this role play comes as a second step, not as the first step. First, we have the government buy-in, and then the mobilization of the school. I liked also the discussion on clarifying that Blue School is not only about the theory, it's putting things in practice. And this was a response of Abatne to a question from the head teacher on, yeah, but in school we teach the theory, then they can practice it in their school. No. Actually, in practice, we know that if you learn in a practical way, you're most likely to remember what you've learned and put it into practice. This is an internationally known principle that learning by doing, learning by practice, it really helps for children to take those good practices home. And I think once the head teacher came up with this point, Abatne came up with very good words, like keywords, like, yeah, but it's just learning by doing, we complement your experience, it's a laboratory. So this was all very good points to explain what is it that we are going to do. Indeed, the head teacher might have some worries, some risks, and this is in all contexts. Now you brought up the risk of pesticides. I think in practice, the biggest risk that might be mentioned is maybe like, yeah, but the students, why would after the day, after the class day, they are tired, they just want to go home. So now we ask them extra work. They are not maybe motivated for this. So using the children as, especially for the school garden, as something that might come as a risk. But as Abatne say, okay, this is step by step. We'll discuss it step by step. So this was very good. So I think overall, there were quite a number of interesting points that came out. And I invite you really to come very prepared to all those kind of meetings. Like have a strategy, put some bullet points for yourself. Okay, I need to highlight that we align with the curriculum, that we know the curriculum, that we have reviewed the policy. Then afterwards, I will show very shortly what a blue school is. And rather than directly digging with the component, just keep it simple. A blue school is a healthy and environmentally friendly school. In this conversation, Abatne didn't have time yet to explain what will be the role of the project team and how we are going to support the school. This would be also something important to do in a first meeting. We'll be there to guide you in those steps. No worries. You are sitting in the driving seat, you'll make the decision, but we'll advise you. So this is also important. So prepare those meetings very well. Know what you want to do. Just don't go just like this with the hand in your pocket. Prepare it very well. Have your pitch ready. This exercise to make pitch on Blue School, we are doing at this moment at all levels, even us at CMU level. Sometimes we're in a conference and then we have to say in 2 minutes to someone what Blue School is. So we are learning it also. So it's a learning process. And I think this exercise has helped. At least that was the purpose of this exercise, for you to realize how important to come very well prepared and to train your pitch and to draw some lessons. So thank you very much to our 2 volunteers. It went very well. I would like now to invite the 2 volunteers for the role play number 1. So the project team going to the governments. So project team 1, then it's Girum. Girum together. Girum, are you volunteering?
Yes, I am volunteering, but due to some instruction misunderstanding, my teammate may not be ready. Miswa, are you ready?
Is it okay if Girum is volunteering, or do you want to volunteer?
It's okay, you can volunteer.
Okay.
I'll be following.
You can add, it can be 2 project team. Actually, you can both put your camera on. You will be 2 members of the project team. Both of you.
Okay, fine.
And then visiting a very skeptical local government. And this will be, that was, who did we say would do that? It's the team of Sabine. And it would be who is from team 2 going to do this?
That is us, Lucy. That is me and Ramesh.
Ah, yes. Yes, sorry, indeed. Yeah, you and Ramesh. So you will do it. Okay. Oh, wow, we have a government lady. Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's there.
So very good. I switched my camera off. 3, 2, 1. The floor is yours.
Okay.
Hello.
This is a very shy hello when you enter a building from a governmental official.
Michua.
Hello, is the team.
We didn't get team 3 to join us.
No, you're fine. You have Deborah. Deborah will play the local government. So now you have you and Mutsiwa. You play the team, project team, and you will visit Deborah. She's waiting for you now. She's in front of a desk, and you're just entering so shyly the office. So she's waiting for you to say what you are here for.
Jam, I can't see you.
Deborah, we can't see you.
Deborah, can you put your camera on, please? Otherwise, if she's off, Ramesh, can you then support her and play the role of the government official? Ah, Deborah, you're here.
Oh, she's back.
Okay, she's back.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So are you set? I'm working on time. I'm waiting for the team from the blue schools, but I can't hear them.
Okay. Good morning, Miss Deborah. We are a team from Blue School coming to introduce our activity to implement projects about Blue School.
Okay.
So
You're welcome.
My name is Gurum Gurma, and with me I have a workmate. He can introduce himself.
You're welcome, Msito and Gurum.
Thank you.
So how can I help you? What is this Blue Schools?
Okay, we are coming with a Blue School approach to be implemented in the school. It's actually an activity that has different components, which include WASH in schools, like training for students using for hygiene and sanitation practice, latrine use, improving drinking water in the school compound, also to help students practice good hygiene and menstrual cycle management. It has also a component related to waste management, school gardening, and environmental conservation.
Mr. Giram, this sounds like a lot of complicated things. Eh? How is it different from the other WASH projects? Because you see, we get a lot of NGOs wanting to implement projects about water and sanitation. So far, I had over 6 components. How is this different from the usual approaches that NGOs want to impose on schools?
Okay, thank you for raising these questions. This approach is different from other approach because it is mainly targets students in the school compound and teachers. So they are actively engaged to the proper implementation of school hygiene practices through a very friendly approach that is developed for the student, which we call it CHAST, Children Hygiene and Sanitation Training. We train the teachers in the school compound, then the teacher will also cascade the information to the student so that they can practice by doing themselves inside the school compound good hygiene and sanitation practices so that latrine will be used properly, water availability in the school compound will be improved through proper use.
Are the activities not going to interrupt the school curriculum? Because it seems like a lot of activities, and you know, under the education policy, we don't have, this is not part of the school curriculum for the schools. How do you plan to integrate that in the school curriculum?
Actually, we have gone through the school curriculums, and it's really related with biology, science, so that it can. We did not start from scratch, but we are building up with what is really existing on the ground in the school curriculums. So we are capacitating the teachers, the students. So proper use of hygiene sanitation facilities and other infrastructures will be properly used in the school.
Okay. So what is, in case now, how long is the project? How do you plan to implement it in the schools? For how long?
Monsieur?
When the NGO has gone, who is going to take care of all these activities? How is the sustainability plan?
Monsieur, can you say something on this?
Thank you, Guru. Thank you, District Official. Our sustainability plan is very clear. Project. We are just facilitating, but we are not leading. The project will be implemented by the stakeholders in the schools. Those are teachers, learners, parents, and district officials. So in our application, we think that the students, teachers, and parents and district officials will be able to take on this project. And actually, we are not working in all schools in the district, but our plan is to work in a few schools. But if it is adopted, it can be enrolled to other schools. So it means we need your support from day one, from the first day, because we may not be able to have funds, resources to enroll to all the schools in the district. But we know if our learners, if our teachers, if our parents buy the idea, it will be, and you, the stakeholders, the policy makers, because we do believe that this, it can be incorporated into our policies, maybe into our district ordinances, and it is enrolled to even other schools. So I think that's the sustainability plan we have. The student, it's not we are just leading, but we are working hand in hand with stakeholders so that in our absence here, they can be able to take over.
Okay, I understand. So, but you know, when you don't involve, I didn't hear anything about the school management committees and the PTA, because now with the transfer of teachers, are you going to plan to train more teachers recurrently as the program goes on? Because every year the government will reshuffle teachers. How is this going to work?
Thank you very much for that question. Yeah, we do believe that the schools, the teachers are just workers in schools by the owners of the schools, and the parents, learners, and the committees. So in our plan, though we did not go into the details of the concept and the approach, but you have the PTA, that is Parent Teachers Association, you have the SMC, Senior Management, School Management Committee, because it is the body that makes all the decisions that govern the school. So even before we go into the school to start our activities, from your office, if you authorize us, we shall first go through the school management committee to give us a go ahead so that whatever we do, they will be informed. And when it comes to operation and maintenance of the facilities that we shall put, that we may put in schools, it's the school management committee that makes the decisions, the allocation, the budgeting. So I think they will be included in each and every step of the approach that we shall be doing.
Okay. And my last question would be, how is the Blue Schools going to improve the quality of life with the students? Do you envision it improving the quality of life in terms of hygiene and sanitation, in terms of all the components that Giram was talking about?
Yes, indeed, Blue School is also designed to improve the quality of lives, because usually most related diseases, communicable diseases like diarrhea, typhoid, they are coming from the source of use of unclean water. So in this Blue School approach, we have different way of teaching students and teachers to practice safe water handling and treating water, so they know in their schools how they can use for girl students. So building a facility where our female students can have a separate room for practicing proper menstrual hygiene management helps their confidence and school attendance rates, so their quality life improves. So we have so many components, and it really improves.
Concluding remark.
Maybe.
Okay.
Hello.
Concluding remark, please.
Hello. Yes, maybe to elaborate on what my colleague has said. Yeah, he has talked about the benefits of the approach to schools and life at large. Yeah, we do believe that this approach, if it is adopted, it will not only help schools, but the entire community that this will be at large. Because when you look at absenteeism in class, it is mainly caused of the what we call communicable diseases, but they originate from schools. What you are saying, diarrhea, typhoid, what. And this absenteeism result into poor performance in classes and missed opportunities. So we do believe if we implement this approach and the wash is put into all the components of what students have access to wash facilities, safe wash facilities, water, latrine, when you talk about those that have access to menstrual hygiene facilities, it will reduce on the absenteeism and it will result in better performance in schools. Talk about the issue of
concluding remark, please.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I understand you, Mosito. I've heard you very well. So I'm going to discuss with other government officials and we'll get back to you. You can leave your contact information and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Okay. Okay, let me start. Please leave your camera on. You're not yet off. I want to see your face when we give the feedback. Deborah, please put your camera on. Deborah, tell me, were you convinced by this Blue School approach and by this project team we just show off in your?
I can hear you, Lucy.
Sorry, were you convinced now by this project team that came to your office to explain? They tried to explain something, but were you convinced?
They had a good argument, Lucy. I was convinced, but as a government official, I have to give it some thought. Okay. But they had a good argument, especially with the explanations on the quality of life. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And Girum, how did you think the meeting go? Did you think you managed to convince her? Would you be happy after such a meeting when you drive back to your office?
Actually, the way we prepared was not for a play role. We kind of lost during the instruction, but really, I appreciate the way she defended us, because as a government, she had put a lot of questions which we have to defend her. So I really like the way she put, and also the final conclusion from her that she's not said okay, welcome in one time. She seeks the advice of her workmates, so she appoints us for the other times. But my partner Mishwa as well really presented in a very good way, so I think it's good.
So if you had more time if the instruction were more clear, like how would you do it different now? Let's say you go back to the governments, and what would you do different?
Yeah, I mean, what I do different is that I have to present him the roadmap, the Blue School roadmap, because the government was saying the components are too much, sustainability is under question mark. All this can be answered with a proper Blue School roadmap. We have to present that for the government. And we have to also provide justification that Blue School component is really part of government strategies with school priorities in our, especially in Ethiopia, we have this school improvement package program by the government, which really go in line with the Blue School approach.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Guillaume. And Musiwa, what would you do better next time?
Yeah, I think what you do better is, as my friend said, the justification of because the district official is complaining about the activities, like there are so many activities. I think we need to justify that these activities can be done, the roadmap, and how these activities align with the curriculum. Now here in Uganda, we have what we call the schools three-star approach, that it really involves all these activities that we put in Blue School. So I think before we go to these officials, we need to acquaint ourselves with all this background information, so that when we reach there, we can be able to explain.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Any comments from the participants who have seen this role play? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, iPhone, you can talk. We are listening to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lucy. also something about these governmental officials.
Yeah. Continue.
Hello?
We hear you. Continue. Continue, Duresa. We hear you.
Okay. So this governmental officials, governmental of. Hello?
Hello, Duresa. We hear you. Please just talk. It's fine.
Okay. Official, we can tell them about this. Consistent curriculum. On upgrade it. Can tell them
Duresa, we cannot hear you. Can you maybe write your point in the chat box, then I will read it? Yeah.
In the biology, in some of the subject of we can tell for the government. Yes, yeah. For example, if you take grade 3 or grade 4, they have the gardening, also the hygiene sanitation part in the grade 8, grade 7. So we have to be tell them also these activities consisting of the curriculum also.
Great. I think I got.
We have to be tell them the activities. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I got it.
Yes.
We don't hear you very well. Basically, if I got it right, what you're trying to say is it's very important to highlight how does the Blue School align with the curriculum and give practical examples of what does it build on in the school curriculum. So showing a good understanding of the school curriculum. Yeah. Is that so?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I think this came up a little bit when Guillaume when this question came up actually from the governmental official, and he asked, but we have this curriculum, how do you plan to integrate this? And we cannot do all these extra things. Then Guillaume explained about, in biology classes and all this. So this came up a little bit, but indeed this could be a bit strengthened. And as Guillaume said afterwards, showing alignment with the government's priorities and the school curriculum, those are two different things. It can be really your entry point, so that you start with showing that you know what you're talking about. Already people will listen to you a bit more. If we can show to the government officials that we will basically help them do their work better, or we give them means or materials to actually do their work, this will be a strong buying point. Okay, let me try to summarize a little bit what happened. So same as with the first, same as with the first role play, we jumped on the Blue School component. This is good, but again, this can be overwhelming for the project, for the person that we are talking to, and this is what happened. Then Deborah said, okay, that's a lot of things. So can you just tell me why it's different? I think we really have to have a very clear pitch before jumping on the activities and all what the Blue School is about and all the components. Let's be clear, why is it different? And to keep it simple in your mind, you can say, okay, Blue School goes beyond WASH. There are many NGOs doing WASH. And of course, we do WASH also because that's essential. But we go beyond, and we also look at how a school can become environmentally friendly. And then as part of the environmentally friendly, you have many things. You can have the school garden, the waste management, environmental activities. But maybe at this stage, we don't need to go in that level of details, because what will happen in the school really depends on each school. So let's have a good pitch. A Blue School goes beyond WASH. We start with WASH, but then we go beyond and continue helping the school improve. And then you can give a few examples of activities, especially regarding WASH, because this is what will catch their attention at first, especially now in COVID time. So it was clear that they were worried with a lot of components, the integration of school curriculum, but that we also already explained. I think we also need to have a very clear pitch on sustainability. This we really need to work on a bit better. One way to do that, so I think there was a good attempt, like involving the different schools' culture, the parent-teacher association, but we have to rework this a little bit, because we cannot say, and I'm quoting now, whatever we do, they should be informed. Or we cannot say the school stakeholder will be included in every step. In Blue School, we aim a bit further. It's not that they are informed, it's not us doing, so it's not whatever we do, is that whatever they will do, we will guide them. So we cannot say whatever we do, they will be informed. But it's good that we exercise this, how to explain the sustainability. So if you can explain that basically the school stakeholders will sit on the driving seat and what activities they want to undertake will be their decision and we just guide them, this already says a lot about the sustainability. If they are the one deciding what they want to do, if they are motivated in a school garden, then the sustainability is there, but we cannot impose it. You know, a Blue School, and we discussed this in the Infosession 1, if a school doesn't want to do a school garden, it's okay, we cannot force them. If they'd rather go for planting trees because they are interested in that, or just waste management or MHM, from the moment that a school is motivated to enter in this pathway to become healthy and environmentally friendly, it's a Blue School. We cannot impose activities to them or component to them. In the Blue Schools kit, we have all those components, but it doesn't mean that they need to implement all. We can try to ask the right question to motivate them on why those components are important, but we cannot force them. And again, that can be a good point also to start with. When you can explain how each component is going to address problems. So it's like the IM toolbox, for those that know the IM toolbox. We start by explaining that we understand the main issues, and then you come with some suggestion on how to address those problems. And that really helps. Because that also came now in this discussion. We came with all our components, and then it's only when Deborah asked, okay, but how does this impact the livelihood, that we basically explain which problem it's going to address. So this is very interesting what happened there, and it's just about reordering our arguments so that it's logical, and then we have a good story. So that's basically it, what I wanted to say about the, sorry, it's also a long story what I'm making, about those two role play. I would like to suggest now to have a 5 minutes break. And after the break, Ramesh will summarize basically our recommendation on how to engage governmental stakeholders and how to engage school stakeholders as a way to wrap up what just happened in those two role play. Is this okay? Shall we start? Shall we come back all together at 11:51?
Yes, it's okay, Lucy.
Good. Okay. See you in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, you don't need to leave the room. You can just switch off. I see people leaving now. I'm here in case people have specific questions and they don't want to ask it in plenary. We can discuss it now in case you have anything specific.
The institutional framework, knowledge of institutional framework will give us idea about these 2 points mainly. Then engaging the line offices at the initial stages. Yeah, as I said, I'm in line offices. They are very important to engage them, like education office and so on. Similarly, as mentioned, the local government institutions are also equally important to coordinate. Then school selection with line government. So the school selection is mainly their, they are the deciding ones. So involvement of all school stakeholders, including the line government, functionaries, local government institutions, very, very important. Then agreeing on respective roles and responsibilities. So at certain point, we can also highlight briefly about role will be what. So setting clear rules of engagement, maybe at certain point, maybe during next, second or third visit, might also be will get clearer. And certain point of time, MOU will be signed or a steering committee may be formed. So these are some important points. Similarly, aligning technical solutions with national standards. As said, I mean, this kit, Blue School kit, they somehow consist of general information regarding the technical options, solutions. These, of course, needs to be somehow aligned with the national standards, norms, when really comes to the implementation. Then showing an understanding of school curriculum, very important, because before approaching these, you're going to the government officials or even school level discussion, we have to have clear knowledge about the coming up with evidence. So, as said already, like it's always easier if we can source some evidence. While discussing with, let's say, government official, if we can cite an example of some success stories from around, that helps somehow clarifying things more in detail. Therefore, evidences are very important if possible to somehow, bring in during the discussion. Yes. These are some points that we can draw from the discussion at the government level. Similarly, engaging head teachers. So we have to keep in mind that we shouldn't overwhelm them. That was discussed quite a lot during group, basically 3 and 4, but it went like 1 and 2. So many times said that, well, head teacher is very busy person. Head teacher has so many things to do. Therefore, it should go gradually, all the information, one time, basically. And Blue School is an approach to help make a school healthy and environmental friendly. So that is the key message. Forget. Whenever we approach to the head teacher, or this is what should always be kept in mind. And step-by-step approach. So roadmap, whenever we talk about the roadmap, we start from point A, we have to reach to the point B, but it takes time. It's a gradual journey. It moves slowly, takes time. So, but in between, of course, there are different milestones. Like WAS is one very important milestone. Similarly, waste management, gardening, environment. So these are very important milestones that we cross through. But clarifying our rules, that is also important. Whenever we go to schools, with the school teachers, head teachers, we should not forget basically, we are here not to decide anything. We are here to support. So this is a back support. Agreeing on respective roles and responsibilities. At a certain point of time, again, with the school also, we have to agree what would be their roles and what they can expect from us, things like that. So clarity on rules of engagement, that is important to be made. Maybe MOUs to be signed, committees are maybe reactivated or even formed if they are not there. It is not only about infrastructure. very important thing also here, while talking with the school teacher, because sometime how it goes is we all know, okay, how many toilets, how many hand washing stations, and water supply, how many hand pumps, or things like that. Most of our discussion goes around the infrastructure, but we shouldn't forget that there's another equally important part, that is software. So we have to highlight it. We shouldn't somehow, uh, showing an understanding of the school curriculum. Yes, again, I mean, school curriculum, to know about, to understand clearly about the curriculum, because also during our this this team 1 and 2. So I did basically like biology, all these things, they are in the curriculum already. So to know about uh, curriculum in detail is very important. Evidence, again, if we have evidence from around that some schools have already been progressing with this concept, then we can cite an example of those schools, which helps to understand for the new schools team also very easily. So these are some points that we can mention here as a recommendation point when we go to see, we go to discuss with the government stakeholders as well as the school teachers. So thank you very much. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Ramesh. There we have one more slide on recommendation on how to engage stakeholders. And this is about how to engage parents. I mean, we have our colleagues during the break, and actually it came up during the role play, the last one, where it was very well explained that the impact is also for the community as a whole. So engagement of parents is also very important, because Blue Schools is an approach for schools, but replication of good practices to communities is also a very important point. So here I would just like to ask you to share your ideas from your country, or from your experience. How do you think can parents be engaged in Blue School activities? Please write it in the chat box. I give you a few minutes to fill this. Let me ask the question again. Basically, how do you plan to engage parents in your project? Or what are the different ways that we can engage parents as part of the Blue Schools activities? We all know they are important actors. We all know it's important, like we want to have an impact on the community as a whole. So now I'm asking you, how are we going to do that? How are we going to get to those parents to replicate good practices? I'm running out of inspiration on how to reformulate my sentence. If the question is not clear, or if you prefer to just unmute yourself and share your feedback on this, please just do. It's fine.
And the question is clear, I think.
Maybe I need a catalog, a Blue Schools catalog, to help me reformulate my questions to get inspiration. So any ideas how you can engage parents in your activities so that we really have an impact at community level? I see some answers now. Okay. So Hex Uganda plans to involve parents in school activities such as tree planting and management of school garden. Okay, so the parents will have a specific role in those activities. That's good. Then we have Théa Desom, Satya, who say, This is what he wanted to talk about. I think it is important for us to understand, define what kind of support we provide at community level and adopt good practices. In schools, it is important to break the boundary between school and community. Exactly. Now, my question to you is how? How? I mean, I have some ideas. I want to get it from you, the how. Guillaume is saying organizing a school event is important where parents can come to the school and see what has been done in a school. Indeed, that's one way to get the parents to come and see what the school is done. Another way mentioned by Hex was to give them a specific role in a school activity. Though on that one, I would actually challenge you, because who are we to decide when to involve parents? Has this been discussed with school stakeholders? Has this been discussed by the parents themselves, or are we already, us sitting in our office, decide when we want to engage the parents? So always think critically about this. We should never impose any way of doing anything. We can suggest, but we cannot impose. Any other ideas? I think actually there was.
Can I talk?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yes, I mean, there was a questions from you to me is that how can we promote the transformation of good practices from community, school to community. One of the way, I mean, if I look at my context, do you want to say something?
Please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So if I look at the Indian context, so here we have a parents committee in every school, and the school organize meeting with the parents, and I think there would be a similar kind of meetings happening in every schools across the world.
Thank you.
And in that in that meeting, they the teachers provide update on what is the performance of the children in the school, and that also includes the overall environment of the schools, what is the need of the schools, and what kind of support the teachers need from the parents to enhance the performance of the children in schools, all those. So wherein we can suggest them to include an agenda as well, is about discussing the Blue School activity as well, so that this way you can inform the parents what are the good practices their children are cultivating in school and how they are important to transform and multiply the impact in many more at the community level. So this is one, the triggering factor we can propose and suggest. The second is when we
please make it a bit short,
discuss with and when we also talk about the other government department like the rural development department, so this is the department can also help us promoting these concept at the community level if they talk.
Good, perfect. Yeah. I think your point on engaging parent-teacher association is also mentioned now by other colleagues in the chat box, where they say that now it's moving the chat box. Basically, during stakeholders engagement, we involve parents association together with the school management committee. That's good for stakeholder engagement, but indeed, as you just mentioned, we can give them a more active role to really review the progress of some of the Blue School activities, or even have a role to decide what activities they want to undertake. Because again, we are not the one to impose what activities the school should initiate. So role of parent-teacher association, role of the government line ministry to make sure that there are replication in communities, outreach activities. So this is very, very good. So I think here we have most of the point that we wanted you to highlight. So really looking at what can be done with the parent-teacher association. Second point is organizing event at the school. So making sure parents come to the school, and in some cases, why not engaging them in some specific activities if they want to, if they are motivated. And the other point that was just mentioned is organizing outreach campaign or outreach activities. So that's the other way around. Teach students going to the community to demonstrate some good practice. This can be children going around and demonstrating how to construct a tippy tap, or how to wash hands, or it could even be distribution of seedlings. If children have, for example, had seedling beds, why not after having the children go around and give it to the different parents, for example? Those are just examples. It's unlimited what you can do. But it's always good to think of those 3 points. Role of the existing structure, parent-teacher association, events at school, and children going outside of the school, just to keep it short. Here I would like to highlight another point that I tend to highlight often when I do monitoring visits. You don't need to read the details what's on this slide, but basically is the role of clubs. In the past, Caritas Switzerland, we use CHAST for hygiene and sanitation promotion to really come up with a very step-by-step approach on how to ensure that WASH practices and WASH behavior is improved. But we used in the past to roll out CHAST through clubs. And now I've seen in some proposals of some of the project for consortium that some teams have already planned to roll out Blue Schools through school clubs. Here again, I would like to encourage you not to impose a way of doing it. And really look at what's in your regulatory framework, what's in the policy document. If you're in a country where there is a school health club in the policy document, sure, let's strengthen it. Let's not give all the responsibility to this club, because it's always a big assumption to say, okay, we train the club and then the clubs will train all the other students. Let's just be realistic how much burden we are putting on these clubs. The responsible bodies in a school to teach children is the teachers. This is why here in Blue Schools, we really want you to look at what you can do with teachers. Help them get inspired to teach in a different way, to complement theoretical lesson with practical exercise. This is all at the center. So let's not just come with one way. You can build up or strengthen the clubs, but let's not only do that. Same, let's not create agricultural club, environmental club, monster hygiene club, girls club. This at the end, every student is part of a club. They are proud to say they are part of the club, but then the club is not active because the teachers then let those responsibilities, the structure of the club is not clear, their role is not clear. Just think critically, in how many schools if we just ask them, do you have a school health club? They will all tell you yes. But then if you look at what the school health club is doing, are they really promoting hygiene and sanitation good practices? No. At the end of the day, what they do is cleaning the school compound, or in the worst case, cleaning the latrine. Is it really something to be proud of, to clean the latrine for all the others? So let's be critical. We do not impose. We let teachers decide how they want to roll out some activities. If a school says, yeah, for the school garden, we really would like to have a club, so at least we have students who receive proper training and then they can roll out, and we still want to engage the other students, but at least we need some responsible students, fine, but let it come from the school stakeholders. That's what I wanted to tell you about this point. Okay, we are running slightly out of time. What I would like to do right now is to invite the project teams that have prepared something to present, because, you know, as part of the consortium project, most project teams are now starting Blue Schools. So as a way to update each other and to exchange on how far we are and ideas on how to do each activities, I would like to ask different teams to present their progress and what they plan in the coming 3 months. This was what I had written in my email. So I know for sure that Caritas in Ethiopia have prepared something, as well as Caritas in Cambodia. So I would like to, if other teams have prepared something, please feel free. You don't need to show a PowerPoint, you can just share orally. But as we have done this roadmap exercise specifically with Caritas Switzerland in Ethiopia, I would like to ask them to start. They have shared with me their presentation, so I will project it. And then the other teams, please feel free to afterwards share what you have done, and doesn't need to be in a PowerPoint. So let me now share the presentation that Caritas in Ethiopia have done. We start with this one. Keep it a bit short, to the point. PowerPoint slideshow, I think this one. Blue School roadmap, 1 second. This one. To the point, yeah, here we are. So Caritas Ethiopia program, who is presenting this one? I can pass the slides for you.
I'm presenting Lucy Groom.
Okay, good. Where do you want to start on slide 1, or you want to directly go on the next slides?
Yeah, because the first slide is just introduction. I can.
Maybe you can share a word on this photo about what you've done with the whole team on the roadmap, because we had a workshop on this. Yeah.
Okay, this photo shows that Caritas teams from different field offices gather together to develop the Blue School roadmap. So this is the final, I think, the final stage. In each phase of the Blue School, how we can involve different stakeholders and who do what, when. All these kind of things are listed down and put it in a table. So the team reorganized each parts and summarized in a way that is now shown in the screen. This is our Blue School roadmap. It has actually 10 phases. As you can see, from the bottom, we have number 1, preliminary phase. The second one is the buy-in from government stakeholder, and the third one is school and community mobilization. Fourth one is construction based on the assessment. The fifth and the sixth one are activities related to WASH in the fifth one, focus on WASH, and the sixth one is on school gardening. So basically, we agreed that always we start with WASH, then at next semester we continue with agriculture. Then the seventh one is more focus on environment. Now the school is used about Blue School approach through introduction of WASH, school garden. Now we move to the environment, the seventh one. And in the eighth phase, the replication. This is where we are going to see the impact out of the school, how Blue School is replicated at student parent house at the community level. So after the replications, we have the exit, because most activities are now completed, and the 10th one is advocacy. So maybe the advocacy can come in the middle, or some Blue School steps can shift based on need and demand. So I will go through where we are now in the project, from where we start and where we are now in the next slide. So in the preliminary phase, what we have done is a review of school curriculum. In fact, this reviewing require experts on the curriculum, but in discussion with the school teachers, school directors, and education office, we have gathered information that hygiene and sanitation topics given starting from grade 2. So basically, we are working on lower primary school and upper primary schools. Lower primary school is usually from grade 1 to grade 5, and upper primary school is from grade 6 to grade 8. So in these grades, most of the Blue School components are given. So what we have seen that, as Lucy said before, sometimes school health clubs are established, some natural resource club or agriculture club established, but they are not functional. So no well-organized functional clubs has been seen there. The other is what we do is adapting and translating Blue School materials. Blue School material are already well prepared. For example, we have just manual, also flip charts for upper primary schools. Just usually we use it for lower primary school, hygiene and sanitation training manual. These manuals are now translated to local language, and they are well adapted to our staffs. The other is we have Blue School Kits, that is a catalog of technology, catalog of practical exercise, and concept brief. These are now well introduced to our staffs. Actually, these materials are mostly meant for project staffs, not for teachers. So we don't need to translate them to local language, as long as our experts or staffs will understand them. So
sorry, let me stop you here just to clarify.
Yeah.
Because this is an important point. I don't want people to get confused. Here in the Ethiopian context, what we have agreed is that the catalog of practical exercise will be actually used by the project team here, and will be some of those practical exercise will be done as part of the monitoring visit. The reason for that is that the level of Ethiopian teachers is not very high, so we don't want to overwhelm them, and we want to support them to do those practical exercise additionally. So we can inspire them to repeat them, but to give them this material with all these texts and all these links, that would not make sense. In other contexts, like in Cambodia, for example, the teachers are at a different level. Actually, there we have actually translated the catalogs in local language, because teachers have more capacity to go through it and use it and actually replicate it with the students. So this is a context-specific decisions on how to implement Blue School, and again, linked to the fact that there is not one way to do it, and it really depends on the context. Sorry, Guillaume. You can continue.
Thank you, Lucy. So, yeah, this is the translation is to make sure that all our materials are fit to the context of our school's context. So maybe different template and MOUs can also be translated based on need. It's not mandatory, but if it is required, then they can be translated and developed. So after this, we have developed a proposal, context-specific proposal for 5 new schools and 5 old existing schools. And all these proposal are based on need assessment. And currently, signing of project agreement is finalized from the government. And for this, we have involved the government education office and water offices. So next slide. So getting the buy-in from the government stakeholder is the second phase of the Blue School roadmap. So here we are doing the different buying in strategies. In fact, during project proposal submission for signature, we have held 9 department meetings for clarifications. So basic discussions during a project proposal development at the region, as the level and Warada level has been held. But we will do a very big meeting again once we are into the program to show with some concrete results with high level regional and zonal stakeholders. So we only do the introduction meetings. Then with the meeting with Warada administration and the relevant sectors at field office level, we have done this with different line office with Warada administration and education office, water office, all are involved. In fact, it is not a one-time job. It is a continuous process. The meeting should have to continue to make sure that engagement and follow-up of the line department are guaranteed. Selection of schools, actually, selection of school has its own criteria, and it is based on this selection of schools that the project is designed. Depend on the budget, depend on existing infrastructure in the schools, different criteria can be developed. But the The basic one is there must be wash infrastructures that can be easily existing structures or that can be easily maintained or newly constructed. So this has to be, because when we talk about hygiene and sanitation, and water and latrine should have to be available in the school. So our selection of school should have to be based on that. Next slide, please. School mobilization, community mobilization and ownership is related to the discussion we held before the presentations, how we engage the community, the surrounding communities. So this is a very important part to get the buy-in. So for our case, so far what we split this engagement. We have done introductory meeting with the school management. The school management includes the school director, the parent committees, Warada education officers. So all this has been gathered and briefed about the project component, their willingness to accept the project. So all this has been done. So it laid a good foundation to clarify role and responsibility from stakeholders. So introductory meeting has been held. And establishing of project steering committee at Kabale level. This is anything that we are going to establish, because we want a committee that really follows up what has been agreed by the project and by the community or school stakeholders. From school stakeholders, we have the parent committee and the school itself with the school teachers and the school management. And the other is the Warada Education Office. All these stakeholders will share role and responsibility. So to follow up proper discharging of role and responsibility, a committee will be set up that evaluate who is doing what, who is not doing well, what is not achieved and what is achieved, what kind of support is really required from whom. This shall be the task of this steering committee. And we are not established this steering committee because we are waiting the school opening in November 9. Once schools are opened, all teachers in the school will be gathered with parent committee, Kabale or Peasant Association chairmen and education office, so that this steering committee will be established. We are left with this establishment, but from the discussion, from the introductory discussions, we have agreed already what is done by the project and what is expected from the community. Signing of MOU with the school stakeholders. MOU finalized at the government level, but at community, at school level, MOU signing is remaining. MOU should have to be signed, as I said, by school directors, parent teacher association, Warada district administrations. We are waiting the opening of the schools because teachers are not around. So once we have all in board, we will organize a big meeting, identify clear role and responsibility, then MOU agreement will be signed. The other phase, based on the discussion now, because of COVID-19, school has been closed for more than one semester, and really we are lagging behind. So we were looking for a means to compensate the time spent in order to speed up some of the activities. For this, we have agreed with Warada Education Office, Warada administrators, the school directors and the parent committees, and some major urgent activities have been identified. So constructions of 3 latrine identified, and process has been started, and now construction is ongoing. So this is one of the phase that we find it on phase 4. So from here, what we can see is those some activities remaining in phase 3, like big meeting, buying meetings. So in order to compensate with the times, in agreement with stakeholders, we have moved to the construction work. So construction works are now in well progress stage in one school, and in the 2 schools they are starting the stage, but the overall performance is good. We will have all completed in November. So for November, when in November 9, when the school opened, we will go directly into the big meetings and signing of MOU, and we start with WASH. So first semester we focus only on phase 5 of the roadmap, that is focus on WASH. So in WASH we will train all teachers, and we expect the teachers will train back the students in their respective grade. So for this, every 15 days we will conduct 2 session just topic for the teachers, and we will follow up in the coming again how the teachers pass on the just topics or hygiene sanitation topics to the students. So we focus only on WASH in the coming 4 months, or the first semester of the school in WASH. Then in the second semesters, we will continue with school gardening activities, that is after March. And this is where we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you very much for this very comprehensive presentation of what your plan, very structured, what you've done and how far you are and what's coming up next. That's very helpful for me as regional advisor also to know where you are, and I hope the other team members can also pick some good practices from it. I think what I see that are very interesting is the tripartite MOU that you signed with government, school and you. I also see another good practice with this steering committee involving, not everyone maybe knows what Kebele is, but basically it's a local administration. So it's really the local authorities, the local authorities. So this seems like also good practices. And the fact to come on a regular basis and to do it step by step, also for the hygiene and sanitation promotion messages using TAST. Thank you, Guillaume. On this, because we are already running out of time, let me ask Singha if she wants to present how far she is, what she has done, and what's in the planning. Actually, we are almost we have a reduced number of teams now, but I still find it very interesting to hear where people are, and I hope everyone can get some ideas. Singha, can you share?
Thank Lucy. Yeah.
Okay, let me enable this. Yeah.
I can share.
Yeah. Try again. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay, everyone see my screen, right?
Good. I like it.
Yeah. I have not prepared a detailed roadmap for that actually, but here I just pick up some the important activity. But more detail on that, we also have another small roadmap in each point. Yeah. Start from the preparation point. This is in this stage we involve the government a lot. We have a chance to present our Blue School approach and also introduce the Blue School kit in the technical working group for WASH in school. that involves on the all stakeholder, including government and also other NGO that doing on WAS. And
National
here
level?
we also
Is it national level or?
national level, yeah.
Wow.
It's a technical working group for WAS in school that conduct every month. That leads that hosted by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport. Yeah. And here in the preparation phase also, we also face-to-face meet the school head department that in charge in was in school to discuss more detail about our Blue School project, what we can provide and the impact, and also showing our 8 pilots the successful story and also the best practice. And yeah, that's make them very inspired. And we also talking about signing the MOU with the Ministry level, including the provincial levels in terms of the project implementation. And here also the government in both level also send us the focal point that can that we can easily contact and ask the information. Yeah. And for the result in the preparation phase, we have the MOU have been signed, and they also have given us the list of the school that have 0 and 1 star as our requirement. And from their long list, we have a short list for 66 schools for the school assessment to select the 45 schools. Yeah. The next step is the school assessment. Yeah, because in Banteay Meanchey, the area that we plan for the project, there is a lot of school that under the national standard. It has around 400 schools, but the projects we aim is only the 45 schools that, and the other is for the replicate to with their commitment. So for the school assessment, with the 66 school, we have partnered with the we have another partner to conduct the school assessment. And as I have present in the first session, that there is a lot of steps for the school assessment in terms of to give the school rank and select the best 45 school for the project implementation. Yeah. And in short, for the assessment, we'll focus on the basic need of the both infrastructure of the school in terms of the toilet, hand washing, drinking water, and the knowledge of WAS, and also the commitment of the head teacher, the engagement of the school committee and parent, and also the community around. So here we have identified 2 kind of questionnaire form. That one is focused on the technical on WAS and watershed, and another one focused on the school management and also the knowledge and their capacity on WAS. The third one is the WAS infrastructure construction and BOQ. This one is come when we already select the 45 schools. So here we working with partner again to conduct the launching meeting and and contact the contractor to visit the school to identify what kind of school, what kind of the infrastructure that the school need, and the partner will come up with the design, the WAS infrastructure design, including the BOQ based on the school need. Yeah. And the fourth one, we focus on the provide the Blue School soft component to the school that we have identified the TOT training and refresher training. Yeah. And here for this stake also, we also have another preparation page for the TOT training And because as Lucy mentioned that Cambodia, the capacity of the teacher is quite not so high, so we need to adapting the Blue School kit into Khmer language, or also a kind of the teacher teaching to the Cambodian context. Yeah. And the last one is the Blue School soft component rollouts by the three implementer. For this stake, for this Blue School project, we have four partners. One is rollout for the was infrastructure construction, and another three that we identify. One is private sector, one is the government, and another one is the NGO to roll out the Blue School component to their target school. Yeah. And here is some more detailed activity that we have done so far in terms of the each step. So I have divided into two parts. One is hardware and another one is software. For hardware, we focus on the providing the VOS infrastructure or VOS facility to the school. So here it's including the school assessment to 66 solely primary school that we get we start list from a long list from the government, and then we also have the hardware construction, that the construction, because we have 45 schools, so we have divided into two installments. For the first round of construction, we provide to 27 schools, and the rest of 19 schools we give at the second round as the installment. Yeah. So for the activity that we have done also for the VOS infrastructure construction launching, even for the first round, we have finished already, and now they already have finalized the infrastructure designing, also BOQ and bidding booklet, and already select the contractor for this first round construction. Yeah. Yeah. And for the software part that we have done is the MOU, sorry, not MOE, MOU signing with Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, and also the Provincial Department of Ministry Youth and Sport. So both have been signed, and they have identified the point person for us to for real-time contact. Yeah. And other update information. Yeah. And we also have developed the selection criteria based on our first experience in school implementation, that the criteria have defined for the 6 point in terms of the star rank, the school location, the number of students, because we have identified the target to reach in the project. And we also focus on the school management, because it's also the main factor to achieve the project goal. Yeah. And make the project sustainable. And another one, another criteria we also define for the water shoot, because the area that we have selected is have a lot of impact from climate change. That as I mentioned, that in the dry season, some school there's no any water for use. But in the rainy season, somehow some schools are faced with floods. Yeah. Yeah. And some activity that we have done is the orientation session for the private sector. This one is the selection step for the private sector, for the three implementer, government, private sector, and NGO, that this take we orient them about our a short introduction about the Blue School concept and the requirement of work that we want them to roll out. Yeah. And proposal feedbacks, they have submitted the proposal and we have review and feedback and send them back to revise. Yeah. So this is the next 3-month action 3-month action plan for our projects. That for hardware, we going to start the first round of construction, was infrastructure construction of 27 school in next month, and at the same time, we also start to launch the infrastructure construction meeting for the second round of 19 school. Yeah. And the same thing to the first round, the second round will come up with the projects, the launching meeting, the BOQ, the designing and bidding booklet and finding the constructor. Yeah. And in here also, we also plan for the end of November for water quality testing. Yeah. And for software, now we have we already finished the facet training, but the field staff still on the baseline data collection of 45 schools. They have finished the 33 school already, but still some school that still on planning and closed for a while, so they still on continue when the school reopen after the floods. Yeah. And this week, we going to finalize the 3 implementer proposal development and select the private sector. And at the same time, we going to sign the project agreement in terms of development and sign with those 3 implementer. Yeah. And we also have another activity in terms of the Blue School orientation to 3 implementer after they on board. So this event we going to conduct to combine with the 45 school to let them know what is the Blue School and what is the project will help them to improve the way that they manage and practice the voice component at school. And we also plan to create the video about the Blue School in terms of the best practice. And this one we aim for the 8 pilot school that we have some school principal that quite active. So we see the potential that they can share their idea and keep us the record. And this one we can show into our TOT training and also in also another voice event that would be inspire other school and other school in another province of Cambodia. Yeah. At the same time for the TOT training, we plan to adapting the Blue School kit to Cambodian context. And the TOT workshop as a Blue School TOT workshop arrangement. Yeah. I think that's all from Cambodia. Yeah.
Thank you, Singha. This is
any question.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is very impressive. It's a good summary of what you are doing. I identified some good practices, which maybe in another of our meeting from this community of practice, we could go a bit more in depth. I think the fact that you have 3 different models to roll out Blue School with private sector, government, or NGO, I think this is something we could have a separate session on. I think it's very interesting. That can be very good practice to also document.
Yeah.
And you engage.
I have not I have not talked detail about the role of the government here. Actually, in the project, we also aim to build the capacity of the government in terms of what's in school and the blue school practice. So, in the MOU with the provincial department, we identify their role in two. One is they are also the implementer, the blue school implementer for the visiting school, and another role is they are the owner of the 45 schools. So after the project finished, they are the one who lead and who responsible for the projects to make it more sustained and to maintain, and also the focal point person to replicate the idea and the blue school approach to other school in Banteay Meanchey and also other province. Yeah.
Very good.
Lucy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Just I would like to first of all thank you very much for very clear roadmap, even for coming next 3 months. So it's very clear. I have just one small question. As you mentioned here, like in 3 months' time, you are going to prepare a blue school video on best practices. So this video will be in Khmer language or will also be in English? What do you think?
We're going to, because we will have a short interview for the school principal that have done well in the pilot project. So the video sound might be in Khmer, but we can put the subtitle in English. This is what we aim. Yeah.
Good. So this will be very, very interesting to share this in our intranet, our wider platform, Swiss Consortium. So I would recommend to make it also available in the intranet platform. Once it is finalized.
Yeah.
Okay.
So by saying that, I'm sure that you'll be putting attention on the quality of this video also at the same time. So maybe it will take little bit more cost, but try to make it very good, huh? So,
yeah.
Thank you. That is important, you know.
I have trust in this team in Cambodia. You know that they were in national television. Maybe Singha, you should also share with everyone this link of. I would like, actually, could you do that, please? Respond to my email with everyone. You share this link to this national television video that shows what you have done in the previous phase. It was not part of consortium, but just to show how good you are in advocacy. Can you do that?
Oh, very good.
Yeah. I can share the link.
Great.
Let's just do that for once more.
Great.
Yeah.
Singha, can you stop sharing your screen? We are really running out of time. And I see now we are almost talking amongst ourselves only. So I just would like to give a chance to our other colleagues from HEX and from TEDism India if they want to present what they have done so far. It doesn't need to be in a PowerPoint if it's not prepared, or just maybe orally focus on what you have done and what you plan to do.
In TDH India, our plan is to do HCF, not blue school.
Okay, so now you're just more for information. Okay, great. Deborah, do you want to explain how far you are right now?
Yes. Should I put on my camera or no?
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, please.
Okay. Can you see me now?
So now you're not the unfriendly government leader. You are the friendly project team explaining what she does. We are listening.
Yes. So far, Lucy, we've done a stakeholder engagement with district officials. We've met the district health educator to secure buy-in of the project, and we've met with the district education officer here in Yumbe district, and under the setup of refugee settlements, There's an implementation partner that Accord has to work under. That is Water Missions, and we've met Water Missions. And we are meeting also the implementation partner of education, that is FinChurch Aid. So we've had almost all the stakeholder engagement at the district level. Another thing we've done, we've also done stakeholder inception meetings at the schools. We are working in 4 schools in the district as our pilot project, and we've done introductory meetings with the stakeholders. We've met the SMCs, the PTA, and the teachers, especially the health teachers, just to introduce the Blue Schools and try and explain to them what the whole thing is all about. Actually, this info session has been very educative. Moving forward, we are going to incorporate most of the things we've learned here today into the Blue Schools facilitation meetings. I've understood a lot from Caritas Ethiopia, and we are going to, moving forward, we shall have more meetings with the school to set up the steering committee and also do a needs assessment in the school and find out what are the most urgent needs. Those are our plans in the coming weeks. I don't want to take up much of the time because I know we're already running out of time. In brief, that is what we are planning to do in the next months. Lucy, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much, everyone, for your presentations. There is one agenda item that we didn't touch on today. This is on This is on the training of stakeholders. This is a very important point, and I think it deserves quite some discussions, and it might vary very much with the context. I think Africa and Asia are quite different. We have seen already in the way that the kit needs to be adapted and how to use the kit that it will vary. So maybe one information for Deborah. With the teams in Ethiopia, we are planning to have one face-to-face workshop, maybe second half of January. It might be that by then the travel restrictions are a bit lighter. It will be done outside, so Corona, we will be very careful with Corona. I mean, I'm the first one to be very worried, so I would like to limit the meeting to 6 people. So we'll have a few, maybe 1 or 2 from Caritas, 1 or 2 from HEX, and then there will be extra seats if you would want someone from your team to attend, because I think that deserves quite some discussion how we are going to train the stakeholders, and it's maybe region specific. I think Caritas Cambodia, or in Asia, Caritas Cambodia has quite some experience on this. So maybe Ramesh, for the Asia region, you could consider having Caritas Cambodia sharing their experience on how they have trained the teachers so far, because they're actually the only team that have already trained teachers on the Blue Schools kit. So that's just sharing some thoughts.
Yes, exactly.
I'll consult with coordinators and get back to you, Lucy.
Perfect, thank you.
I'll talk about it and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, I'll communicate by email anyway. Ramesh?
No, I mean, we had really long discussion last year, and we made quite, action plans to interchange, all these experiences. But because of this Corona, face-to-face are very difficult here.
Anyway,
we'll think how to, exchange learning, and because in Asia we have 2 teams, Nepal and Cambodia. So other teams they are only doing SCFs.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely think on it.
Great.
Between these 2 teams. Yeah.
Okay. And on this, I wanted to also highlight that this is not our last meeting. We will organize more of such meetings to go in depth in more specific topic. I think the next one I would like to have with the Africa region is on COVID-19 preparedness in schools, but we can plan it amongst ourselves because it's also, again, region specific. And on this note, I think we can close the session for today. Maybe I ask Ramesh to have a closing remark. You are muted. Ramesh, your closing remark is muted.
Sorry. Now unmuted. No, I mean, both the sessions I find personally very interesting, and it went very nice, wonderful, in other words. So very good wide range of knowledge exchange in two regions, different countries, mainly based on this school theme. We had also opportunity to somehow involve other teams also, like special thanks to our India team, Satyaji. Though they are not working on this blue school, but still, I mean, during first session and this session, he had a very active sort of involvement. So I highly appreciate such engagements. So, and thank you, Lucy, finally, because you had a hard work on this, you prepared so many materials, so many things. I am just here to kind of very, in a way, I mean, very thin support to you, but you have done quite a lot and excellent job. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
we
everyone.
keep in touch. Keep in touch.
Sorry, Satya, I blocked your video by mistake. I'm sorry.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye, iPhone. Bye-bye, user. Bye-bye, iPhone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Singha. Singha, we keep in touch. Yes.
Bye-bye, everyone.